Madison Square Garden Entertainment has been getting some heat recently for using facial recognition technology that's built into their security cameras in some rather petty ways. You would think that tech like this would primarily be used to identify criminals or maybe people who had previously been trespassed from the premise. But in this case, it was used to identify and then have security kick out patrons that were even slightly associated with a law firm that was involved in a lawsuit against the company. Yep, they've basically gone full 1984 at the Radio City Music Hall in New York, especially when you consider how far removed Kelly Colon, the lady that was escorted out of the venue, was from this lawsuit. She had never practiced law in New York or ever been involved in any lawsuits against MSG Entertainment, but she was an associate for Davis, Saperstein, and Solomon, which was involved in a lawsuit against a restaurant that was then later purchased by MSG Entertainment. So clearly, the line that Madison Square Gardens is drawing between this lawyer and a lawsuit against the company is quite convoluted, and something like this would only be made possible by facial recognition technology. There's no way that employees that were working security there would just be able to eyeball and identify this person. Clearly, MSG, they got access to some data set containing pictures of all of the law firm's employees and previous employees as well, because some of the data sets must have been old. Several attorneys who had actually left the law firm were also denied access to different arenas. Now, facial recognition cameras have been around for quite a while now. In fact, there are actually DIY facial recognition surveillance setups that you can install, and they're actually quite sophisticated. The technology is very cheap, it's available these days, and it should honestly be expected to be present on premises like this. I don't think that there's any way to put the facial recognition genie back into the bottle, so I think the question that we should be asking at this point is, how can people that want to attend these venues deal with the facial recognition technology? How can we try to mitigate its ability to detect our faces and to violate our privacy? And also, what limitations should be applied, if any, to companies that are wanting to deploy this tech on their own property? Because like I said, it's cheap and it's available, and businesses do have the right to refuse service to people. At least here in America, under certain circumstances, they do. So it's no surprise that they would want to use this facial recognition technology in this way. But what about the people who buy tickets to go see a performance and then they get denied access to the venue by this automated system? Shouldn't they be refunded their money? Because that's essentially what happened here. It seems to me like the amount of money that the arenas are going to be losing in lawsuits, lawsuits where people are buying the tickets and then they show up and then they get denied access to the venue, and then they're suing for the cost of tickets plus travel and, emotional distress, whatever else you're able to sue for. I don't know if that's going to be worth it in the long run compared to the money that they're saving by using facial recognition to deny certain people access. I mean, is it even possible to save money by denying people access via facial recognition? I guess there's a few no-good nicks that the algorithms are detecting and saving these establishments from, but it seems really stupid that the no-good nicks that were detected in this case are actually lawyers that are loosely associated with a law firm that sued one of your restaurants in the past. That seems like the fastest way for things to backfire and you get a lawsuit on your hands. In fact, it appears that it's already backfiring because the law firm is planning to challenge MSG's liquor license, because apparently you can't go too crazy about who you serve, or rather who you deny service to, if you want to serve alcohol in your establishment. So essentially, the way that the liquor license there is worded is they have to serve all members of the public unless there is a safety concern. So I guess unless they're causing some mischief. So this could lead to them losing the liquor license, which really boils down to the arena losing money, because if your place doesn't serve booze or doesn't have booze, then it's not worth going to for a lot of people. So it's going to be interesting to see where this law firm's actions go, if it actually does end up affecting the status of MSG's liquor license, and if it sets a precedence for businesses that go around and just seem to randomly ban patrons due to them having loose associations with people involved in litigations against them or anything like that. Because I think, if anything, we're going to see more and more ridiculous examples of businesses using facial recognition to ban people without them knowing about it in advance. In the meantime, there are a number of options available to people who want to try and foil the effect of facial recognition. I find it interesting how this facial recognition technology being built into security cameras, it's only really started popping up a lot at least in the private sector in the past few years. And it's been popping up around the same time that wearing masks in public has become more and more common. It's just funny how that works. So masks might be able to assist with deceiving facial recognition software to some extent, but it really depends on what kind of mask you have on your face and what kind of software is being used to identify you. Obviously, the mask, if it covers up more and more of your face, especially if it covers up your nose and around your eyes, then it's going to be more effective. For the most part, facial recognition still works when people wear surgical masks or dust masks, because the most important part of the face for most software to scan is actually around the eyes. So wearing glasses, especially polarized sunglasses, could be an effective measure to block facial recognition in security cameras. In a lot of cases, wearing glasses is good enough to make the facial recognition on smartphones not work, which of course has a much higher resolution camera, and they're being held much closer to your face than security cameras are. Now, it's important to remember that facial recognition technology is always getting better, and the old trick of wearing a mask and sunglasses is only going to be so effective on the most sophisticated security cameras. But luckily, there are more effective measures of blocking facial recognition with privacy visors. So typically, these come in one of two forms. Either they come in the form of glasses that have near-infrared LEDs on them, which are not visible to the human eye, but they are visible to cameras. So when you turn them on, they make your face look really bright, and the cameras cannot see anything but just a big ball of light. Or there's these passive reflective visors that don't require any power, they don't have any LED lights on them, but they do have a similar effect. When cameras look at your face, they're just going to see a big bright light, and they can't even tell that they are looking at a face at all most of the time, much less that they are looking at your face specifically. So hopefully these glasses catch on as a fashion trend, because they're going to be necessary to avoid surveillance in our cyberpunk dystopia.